Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, and today I have another video for you guys from Swaikage, this one explaining the Reaper Death Seal. Now if you don't know what the Reaper Death Seal is, it's the ability that Minato used to seal one half of the Nine Tails inside himself and then the other half inside of Naruto Uzumaki. And the third Hokage also used it to seal away the first and second Hokage, as well as Orochimaru's arms. Now before we get to the video, I have to let you know, as always, I will leave a link to the video in the description box down below, as well as a link to Swag's channel so you can head on over there and subscribe and show him some support. But I will also leave a link to my second channel as well, so you can go over there and subscribe. And the reason why I started a second channel, if you don't know, I started it to post content there that I can't post here because I know it might get me in trouble with copyright. So if I post it there and if something happens, then at least it'll affect the second channel and not my main channel. So if you post in the comments section a request for a video, and if you don't find it here, it's probably over on the second channel, as well as other content I plan on posting there that, again, if I think it might get me in trouble in terms of copyright, then it's going to be over on my second channel, just to make sure nothing happens to my main channel. Okay, now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's go ahead and watch the video.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? Swaikage here, and welcome to today's video where we're going to be talking about the Reaper Death Seal, also known as the Shiki Fujin, or Dead Demon Consuming Seal, an S-Class Forbidden Fuin Jutsu developed by the Uzumaki clan that allows its user to summon the Grim Reaper. So despite the fact that this jutsu has only really been used twice, it's actually pretty popular. There's a whole lot of love for it in the community, and understandably so. It's really cool. It's a
Very
sealing
cool.
jutsu
I mean, come on,
where
look
you
at it.
call forth the Grim Reaper himself and ask him to take the soul of your enemy. That's about as cool as a ninjutsu can get. But the mechanics are a little bit iffy because the series doesn't really explore them too heavily. Kishimoto just kind of has Hiruzen use the jutsu and then just expects the audience to figure out how it works on their own. Luckily,
Yeah, and I think I talked about this in some of my previous videos, but I talked about how that's usually one of the reasons why there's a lot of, there's a lot of arguments between fans, when it comes to Naruto, because when you as an author choose to leave things up to interpretation and trust the audience to be able to figure it out on their own, it can lead to a lot of, arguments because people have different interpretations of what Kishimoto might have actually meant by whatever it is that happened. Like this, for example, could be one of them. And it sucks, but it's what happens.
in this case,
I mean, I know fans are going to argue regardless, but I think this, leaving things to interpretation does kind of add to it.
doing so isn't really too difficult, though. Based on what Hiruzen tells Orochimaru and what was shown to the audience during the jutsu's debut, piecing together how it works is pretty easy. So like I said at the beginning of the video, this is a sealing jutsu, and it's sort of a hybrid between a sealing and a summoning jutsu because, like I also said at the beginning of the video, the Grim Reaper is summoned to perform this jutsu. And I don't mean that in any sort of figurative sense. Somehow, the creators of the Reaper Death Seal managed to figure out how to call upon the powers of the god of death himself and summon him in the middle of a battle. This is the actual Grim Reaper of the Naruto world. Now that said, there is a lot more to this jutsu than just summoning the Shinigami. After the user performs a series of 10 hand seals, the Grim Reaper will arrive, but additionally, the soul of the summoner will be at least partially extracted from their body. And before you ask why that happens, it's because in order to use this jutsu, a person has to essentially sell their soul to the Reaper.
Yeah.
No exceptions, no way around it. That has to happen for this jutsu to be activated. But of course, this brings up
Which
another
is probably one of the reasons why a lot of people don't go around just using this ability because of, the price.
question. The user's soul is a lot to ask for on the part of the Grim Reaper, especially just to perform one jutsu. So I'm sure many of you are wondering what could possibly be worth it. What sort of OP jutsu would be worth giving up your soul for? Well, rest assured, this is one of the strongest jutsu in the whole series. It's S rank for a reason, trust me. In exchange for the user's agreement to have their soul trapped in the belly of the Reaper for pretty much all of eternity, they can seal the soul of their enemy inside of their body, inside of another person's body, or inside of the belly of the Reaper, making this a really effective suicide move, as it's almost a guaranteed kill, just about 100% of the time. Adding to the jutsu's effectiveness is the fact that nobody but the jutsu caster can see the Reaper initially, so presuming a target doesn't recognize the jutsu's hand seals, they are guaranteed to be taken completely by surprise, which not only makes managing to avoid getting caught by the Reaper more difficult, but it also makes resisting the effects of the jutsu itself significantly slightly harder as well. Now, to explain why, I've got to get a bit more into the jutsu's nitty-gritty, because there's quite a bit more to it than what I've explained so far. Even after the Grim Reaper is summoned, the target's soul will not be ripped from their body automatically. The jutsu caster still has to get close enough to their enemy for the Reaper to reach their soul, and they also have to initialize the jutsu themselves as well, at which point the Reaper will begin chanting and will attempt to grab hold of the target's soul. This really cool tattoo akin to a curse mark also appears on his arm, though I don't know what part that plays in the process overall. Anyhow, this is the trickiest part of performing this jutsu, because while Minato had no trouble at this stage, Hiruzen ran into a pretty big problem while trying to steal Orochimaru's soul. Apparently, it is possible for a person to resist the effects of this jutsu if they are sufficiently stronger than the person casting it, and this isn't helped by the fact that as soon as the Reaper grabs onto their soul, the person on the receiving end will be able to see him. Granted, one look at the Reaper just about caused Orochimaru to shit himself, and keep in mind, this is the same Orochimaru who, with both of his arms royally messed up, took a look at version 2 Cloak 4-tailed Naruto and started laughing. So the fear caused by being in the presence of the Reaper is pretty serious, and it does
it's
serve
kind
to
of
offset a
understandable.
person's ability to resist this jutsu's effects, but if they are able to get past just how terrified they are of being in the presence of a Shinigami, they can manage to fight back as the Reaper tugs at their soul. And I'm also led to believe that any significant injuries or conditions that impede the caster's ability to rip the target's soul from their body will give the person on the receiving end an edge, meaning that if at all possible, it's a good idea to damage the jutsu's caster after one recognizes what's going on. That's easier said than done though, because once the Reaper grabs hold of a target's soul, they're immobilized for the most part anyway. The only thing Orochimaru could manage to do while his soul was being pulled out was to move his fingers a little bit, which luckily for him was enough to call his sword
pretty much
back
all he
to
needed.
him. And since Hiruzen was standing between he and the blade, I'm sure you guys can figure out what happened, and being stabbed from behind with a sword while really tired and kind of already on the verge of death from battling 2 Edo Tensei Hokage left Hiruzen in a condition where he wasn't really able to fully pull Orochimaru's soul out. And I guess that's another thing I should probably clarify before I go any further. This is all only relevant because the technique's effectiveness is directly correlated with the jutsu caster's ability to physically yank their target's soul from their body. So again, if somebody on the receiving end is strong enough to resist the physical force provided by the jutsu user, then they will be able to avoid having their soul completely torn out. But this also poses some benefits for users of the jutsu. For example, because Orochimaru had suppressed the personalities and by extension the ability to think of Hashirama and Tobirama after reviving them with Edo Tensei, Hiruzen was very easily able to use shadow clones to take their souls and incapacitate them, despite the fact that these clones represented only a small portion of his full strength. This of course seems to imply that since these Edo Tensei summons lacked the ability to think for themselves, they were completely unable to resist the jutsu's effects, even when something as weak as a shadow clone was acting as a catalyst, which means that Edo Tensei targets, mindless summons, and other...
Yeah, because, someone might make the argument that, well, then, if the rules of the Reaper Death Seal say that if you're significantly stronger than the one who's casting the ability, or the one who's actually casting the jutsu, then how did Tobirama and Hashirama not resist Hiruzen, even though the ones who sealed them away were just clones? Well, again, it's like he said, you got to remember, first of all, they were Edo Tensei, so they were nowhere near as strong as they were when they were alive. And also, Orochimaru had suppressed their ability to be able to think for themselves. And also, I think that even if they were able to think for themselves, I don't think they would have resisted, because they would have understood that this guy posed a threat to the village. And Hashirama and Tobirama have proven, once we got some more backstory for these characters, or not backstory, but some development for these characters and what they were like when they were alive, I don't think they would have really resisted against it. If it meant the safety of the village, I think they would have been okay with it, even though being trapped inside the stomach of the Reaper doesn't really sound like fun. If it's for the sake of the village, they are willing to do that.
Other things of that nature can be dispatched by the jutsu user without the sacrifice of their soul. But of course, it is a double-edged sword, as it is this restriction that prevented Hiruzen from completely taking Orochimaru's soul and forced him to settle for just removing Orochimaru's arms. This is also the only example of a piece of a person's soul being taken with this jutsu, and I'm not sure what the effects would have been if Hiruzen would have, say, taken Orochimaru's legs. But in this case, anyway, cutting Orochimaru's arms off from his soul prevented him from using his arms at any point in the future, which also effectively kept him from using any form of ninjutsu, and it also caused excruciating pain to stem from them that could only be circumvented by switching bodies, and temporarily at that. The problems that plagued Orochimaru's arms would always come back until he released them from the belly of the Reaper by using the Shinigami release mask. On that note, it is possible to release entities trapped within the belly of the Reaper by performing the Dead Demon Consuming Seal release, which is a jutsu that can be cast by wearing a mask stored inside of a storage temple built by the Uzumaki clan. This mask causes the Shinigami to possess its wearer, at which point they have complete control over it. If they so choose, they can cut the Reaper's stomach open and free all of the souls trapped in.
By the way, it was kind of pointed out in another video by Swag. I think it was another video by Swag that we reacted to here. But he pointed out that this is actually a bit of a plot hole, because if this really existed the entire time, then why didn't he do it after he got his arms sealed away? And if this really existed, then Hiruzen probably would have known about it. And if that's the case, then why would he risk his life using the Reaper Death Seal when he knows that it could kill him? And even if he were able to do that, then Orochimaru could just use this mask to free his arms. Again, yeah, see, this is, oh boy, yeah, this was without a doubt a plot hole.
This is how Orochimaru managed to free the first 4 Hokage along with his arms. Anyhow, that about does it for the Reaper Death Seal. Thank you as always for watching the video all the way to the end. Of course, if you have any ideas for future videos you want me to cover, leave them as a suggestion down in the comments below, and if I like your idea enough, I just might get to it in the future. Anyhow, that's all from me. Till my next video, I'll talk to you later. Swaikage out. Bye.
I think that's the video. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so yeah, that's the video. So I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope I hope it was made clear as to what the ability is, what's required to activate the ability, and probably more importantly, the price that you have to pay for using the Reaper Death Seal. But yeah, there's the video, and as always, guys, if you have any video you want me to watch, just let me know about it in the comment section down below. And while you're there, consider checking out the description of this video to find, of course, the link to this video in and of itself, the link to Swagkage's channel, as well as the link to my second channel, because like I said, I'm going to start posting things there that I can't post here to try to make sure that my channel doesn't get in trouble with copyright, because if that channel gets hit with some copyright, then at least it's my backup channel and not my main channel. With that being said, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope I talk to you soon. Bye for now.